안녕하세요.
안녕하십니까.
와이파이입니다.
사실 맞추면 돼.
와이파이입니다.
된 건가?
일단 댓글이 안 올라오잖아요.
아니요, 이거 몇 주 뒤에 올라.
그거 있어. 버퍼리?
댓글이 안 올라오니까 안 되고 있는. 내가 저 와이파이입니다. 여기 와이파이가 그냥 없어요.
괜찮은데?
아니, 제가 확인해볼게요. 잠시만요. 감사합니다.
안 나온 것 같은데.
없어요?
내 핸드폰 진동 왔어. 내가 유일하게 켜져 있는 게
있어요.
알람 왔어. 남준이 하이히로. 내가 유일하게 알람 켜져 있는 게 위버스야.
형. 형이 댓글을 끄신 거예요.
내 댓글 껐어.
켜져 있다. 너가 저기 껐네.
켜져 있어요, 저기. 단투명으로 보이는 거예요. 왼쪽.
아, 그러네. 켜졌네. 여기 와이파이 괜찮다니까.
그래. 기분 좋은 하루의 시작. 밝은 느낌의 피아노.
감자탕면 뼈가 없나요?
감자 없는 감자탕인 거지. 그냥 탕이야, 일단.
아쉬운데?
인사도 안 하고 먹어요?
무서워.
안녕하세요.
둘셋. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
감사합니다.
방탄소년단의 비.
아닙니다.
안녕하세요. 지미입니다.
지민 지금 얼음찜질하고. 쌀이 좀 달라요?
다른 거야. 소갈비가 우리가 생각하는 기본급이 아니야.
거기도 감자 아니야? 이게 뼈가 없지 않아요?
뼈가 없어요.
와, 이건 마치,
야, 그럼 소면이 우리가 많이 쓸 수 있겠다.
What was supposed to be a simple BTS live quickly turned into something completely different. At first, everything seemed normal. The members were trying to start the broadcast, fans were waiting in the comments, and everyone appeared ready to spend some casual time together. But then something strange happened. The comments weren't showing up. At first, they assumed it was just a delay. Someone waited a few seconds. Still nothing. Then they started questioning the Wi-Fi. Was the connection actually working? Was the live malfunctioning? Or was something wrong with the comment section? It sounds like a small technical problem, but when several BTS members are sitting together, even something as ordinary as a Wi-Fi issue can become entertainment. One of them pointed out that the comments should appear after a few seconds. Then, suddenly, they started appearing. That immediately created another round of confusion. So the Wi-Fi was apparently fine after all. But then another notification caught their attention. A message from Namjoon appeared. That tiny notification suddenly became interesting because one of the members explained that Weverse was basically the only notification they had enabled. So when Namjoon's name appeared, they immediately noticed it. It was a very small moment, but it showed something fans have always loved about BTS. Even when they are not doing anything particularly dramatic, their interactions with each other can instantly become the highlight. And they weren't even properly into the conversation yet. Before long, the attention shifted toward the food sitting in front of them. Gamjatang was on the table. For anyone unfamiliar with Korean food, gamjatang is a hearty pork bone soup traditionally served with potatoes, vegetables, and a rich, spicy broth. It is the kind of meal that feels perfect for a casual gathering. Except there was one problem. The members started looking at the food and wondering where the meat was. At first, it seemed like a joke. Then they looked again. Still not much meat. That was when the conversation became even more chaotic. Someone mentioned that the meat might be somewhere else. Another person began checking the containers around them. Suddenly, a simple meal had turned into a miniature investigation. And somehow, the members were taking the whole thing seriously. They even started discussing the ingredients and the way the food was prepared. One of them pointed out that the meat they expected to see wasn't immediately visible. Then came another moment that made the entire situation even funnier. There were 3 spoons. Someone questioned why there were 3. Another member responded as if they were trying to solve a completely unrelated mystery. This is exactly the kind of interaction that makes BTS lives feel different from polished interviews. Nobody is following a strict script. Nobody needs to create a dramatic moment. They can simply sit together, eat, argue about food, and somehow turn it into something fans want to watch. And then Jimin was suddenly pulled into the conversation. Someone essentially told him to introduce himself. The timing made it even funnier because the entire group was already bouncing between topics. 1 second they were talking about the food, the next they were discussing comments, and suddenly Jimin was being asked to introduce himself. It felt less like a formal broadcast, and more like being invited into a private dinner where everyone happens to be extremely famous. But the funniest part was still waiting. The members continued searching for the meat. Someone insisted there was something inside the box. Another person checked it. Then came the realization. There actually was meat. It had simply been placed somewhere they weren't expecting. That discovery completely changed the situation. After all the confusion, the answer was much simpler than anyone expected. The meat was there. They just had to find it. And honestly, that may be the perfect summary of this entire live. Nothing needed to be spectacular. There was no huge announcement, no elaborate stage, no carefully planned performance. There was just BTS sitting together, dealing with a questionable Wi-Fi connection, noticing a message from Namjoon, talking about food, and trying to figure out where the meat had gone. Yet those ordinary moments are exactly what can make fans feel closest to them. Because when BTS are on stage, everything is carefully prepared. The lighting, choreography, music, outfits, cameras, and performances all have to come together perfectly. But during moments like this, the polished image disappears. You get the members as friends. You get the random jokes. You get the confusion. You get someone asking where the food is. And you get everyone laughing over something that would probably never make it into a carefully scripted program. That is why a seemingly insignificant live can suddenly become memorable. The biggest moments aren't always the ones with the biggest announcements. Sometimes, they're the moments where nothing important is supposed to happen at all. And in this case, the entire thing started because someone simply asked one question. Is the Wi-Fi working? What followed was a completely unexpected combination of technical confusion, Weverse notifications, spontaneous introductions, and one very important mystery surrounding the missing meat. And somehow, BTS turned all of it into entertainment. But there was still one thing fans couldn't ignore. The fact that these members were simply together again, laughing, eating, teasing each other, and behaving naturally. After everything BTS have experienced over the past few years, moments like that carry a little more weight. For ARMY, it isn't just about what they say. Sometimes, it's about seeing all of them comfortable enough to sit down together and have a completely ordinary conversation. And maybe that's what made this live so enjoyable. It wasn't perfect. The comments were delayed. The Wi-Fi became a question. The food caused confusion. And the meat seemingly disappeared. But none of that mattered, because the more chaotic it became, the more natural the members seemed. And that is exactly why fans kept watching. Sometimes the most unforgettable BTS moments aren't created by a massive stage or a shocking announcement. Sometimes they're created around a table, with a bowl of soup, a few confused members, and absolutely no idea where the meat went.